All right, so now for this next problem, it says you plan to go to the ice skating. You plan to go ice skating off in the summer. The skating rink charges $4 for admission. Either you could rent the skates at the ice skating rink for $5 per day, or you could buy a pair for $45. All right. How many times do you have to use ice skates in order for the cost of buying them to be less than renting them? So that makes sense. You know you're going to go ice skating a lot, but maybe it'd be cheaper if you just bought the ice skates. Because if you're going to go a lot in 1 year and you pay $5 each time, it might cost more money to rent them. So you have to figure out how many times are you going to go. Am I going to go 7 times? Am I going to go 10 times? Am I going to go 3 times? I don't know. So we got to figure out at what point does it make a difference. Well, the first thing we need to do is it says you have 2 options when buying or renting the skates. Buying the skates means that you're going to add the cost of the skates, which is $45, plus the admission fee times the number of visits. And we don't know how many times we're going to visit. Okay? Or another option is renting the skates. So you're trying to figure out how much it's going to cost. So if I go and I rent the skates, every time that I go, every visit I have to multiply by 5 because I got to pay $5 for renting the skates, and then I got to pay $4 to get in. So it's going to be 9 times the number of visits. All right. So option 1 has to be less than option 2. So let's write that out and solve, and then we can figure out how many visits makes a difference. So option 1, remember, this is just buying the skates. How much would it cost me total over the season? So I have to pay $45 plus $4 admission every time I go, which is 4V, every time I visit. We want to know when that will be less than buying or renting the skates, which would be 5 times the visit plus 4 times the visit, or a total of $9 each visit. Now remember, I want to make it look like V equals some stuff, sort of, except we have inequality symbols. Whoops. And we still do the inverse. So I see that I have V on both sides of my inequality. So I want to move these. First thing I do is I notice that 4V is less than 9V. Whenever you're moving a variable to the opposite side of the symbol, whether it's an equal sign or inequality, you want to move the least valued inequality. So normally we would divide by 4, but that just moves the 4. I want to move the whole thing. Well, the whole thing is adding. So the inverse is minus 4V. And if you think about that for a second, when I minus 4V from both sides, that equals 0. And so when I do this mathematically, that makes it 0. 45 plus 0 is just 0. 45 plus 0 is 45. Now remember, whatever I do on one side of the equal sign, I got to do on the other. And so now I have a negative, not a negative, I have a positive 5 over here because 9V minus 4V equals 5V. Okay? So now to get the V by itself, I just, 5V means 5 times V, so I do the inverse of multiplying by 5, which is to divide by 5. 45 divided by 5 is 9. 9 is less than V. Now, one thing that you need to know is that 9 is less than V, or you could rewrite that as V is greater than 9. In other words, you have to go more than 9 times. For it to make sense, for it to be cost effective, yes.